is Joseph Bast. I'm the president of the Heartland Institute. It's my honor to welcome you to the 12th International Conference on Climate Change, taking place here in Washington, D.C., March 23rd, 2017. Those of you who are watching online, welcome, and I hope that you watch many of the programs over the course of today and tomorrow. This is a second chance for us to get our energy policy and our environment policy right. We really didn't think that there was much of a chance that what EPA has been doing, and NOAA and some of the other agencies for the last 8 years, could be reversed. And the election was a tremendous surprise and a great opportunity, a second chance. I think he's made all the right steps so far. We have a president who is willing to speak out and say the science is not settled. We're not sure what the human impact is. I think President Trump has said we should not be spending anything like the kind of billions of dollars that we're spending on an unproved scientific theory. And that's right out of our talking points. That's exactly correct. And it has a huge impact on the public debate when the President of the United States says it. Scientists can say it, economists can say it, celebrities can say it, but when you have the President of the United States using his bully pulpit to make a point about climate change, that's huge. That's a game changer. We hope that he takes advantage of the moment and the momentum. He needs to act quickly. We're now in day 62, I guess, of the first 100 days of this administration. He's put forward a budget that's very bold, that cuts back EPA, that cuts back a lot of this wasteful spending, global warming alarmist type efforts. That's all reassuring. He needs to just continue to push that. You can't get everything all at once. We understand that. So one of the great challenges of any administration that is based on a vision, and this is a visual or a visionary presidency. He has a vision of where he wants to take the country. It takes years and multiple pieces of legislation and even different heads of departments to accomplish that. So in the first year, you get what you can get. You take advantage of the energy that comes with being new on the field, and people are going to give you the benefit of the doubt to try to implement your plan. You're only going to get a quarter of what you want. And then next year, you come back for another quarter, and then another quarter, and another quarter. It's our hope that he defunds EPA significantly in the first few years, and it looks like we're on track to do that. Even better would be replacing EPA. EPA as a government agency has violated the rules of science, has violated the rules of ethics, cares not a whit about economics and jobs. Maybe in the 70s and the 80s that was okay. It's not okay today. And I think that was one of Trump's points during his campaign, that what we tolerated in the 70s and the 80s when we had a stronger economy, maybe when the schools were better, when we had more income mobility, when we didn't have big problems abroad, maybe we could tolerate all of that, but not today. Today we have millions of families that are really suffering. And when you say, well, let's raise the cost of energy 20%, 30%, they can't afford that. That adds to the suffering. So we should stop doing things that hurt the middle class. We should refocus on defending America, rebuilding the economy, and a good energy policy and good environmental regulation is a key part of that. Trump understands that, and I think we're very optimistic that he's going to be making the right choices and the right policies in that area. We've made tremendous progress in cleaning the air and the water, and people are right to then worry, are we going to stop that progress? Is it even going to be reversed? And I think the answer to that is EPA's core responsibility, and it has neglected that responsibility. It has neglected it by going after issues like global warming and environmental justice and chasing after the last chemical or the last molecule of a potentially damaging chemical. So instead of protecting our air and water, EPA devotes most of its resources right now to other things. So if Donald Trump can get EPA to refocus just on its core mission, protecting air and water and food, I think you would see an improvement in those areas. You would see laws being enforced that aren't being enforced right now because we're wasting so much time, energy, and money on non-threats, hypothetical threats. So get EPA to focus back on its original mission of protecting our water and our air. And then I believe the next step after that, after kind of trimming away all of this waste, all of this counterproductive regulation, and refocusing on its core mission, the next step is, why do we even need thousands and thousands of employees in Washington, D.C. to do this? Most of our environmental laws rely on the states to be enforced, not on the national government. It's not EPA federal employees who come into a state and measure the emissions from a smokestack. It's the states that do that. So the states have the personnel, the experience, and the resources to keep enforcing these laws. And I think they will continue to do that. So let's replace EPA with a new arrangement whereby the states are empowered to do what they can do best and just let EPA at the national level dwindle to maybe a few important tasks, maybe some research tasks, maybe some air quality monitoring tasks, but not ask them to do the hard work of actually cleaning our air and water. I think the American people actually understand the environment issue better than we tend to give them credit for. When you read the New York Times or the Washington Post or most of the mainstream media, it's as if the American people are stupid or too stupid to understand. And so you watch documentary films and they talk about all these terrible hazards, environmental hazards. Well, as a matter of fact, the American people understand that most of the real hazards have been cleaned up and fixed. They look around themselves, their lives, their neighborhood. They don't see open garbage dumps the way that we saw in the 60s and the 70s. They look at their relatives, their parents living to be 92 years old, 95 years old, and they say, I don't see any evidence that pesticides are causing a cancer epidemic. I think most of the American people understand something that most journalists don't, and that is the air and water are cleaner than they've ever been in our lifetime, that the environment is safer than it's ever been in our lifetime, and that increasingly improvement going forward is going to rely on individuals, our own behavior. Stop smoking. If you're concerned about the environment, you know, I can't tell you how many people, it's been a little while, but you know, I would talk to who are really concerned about the environment who are smoking a cigarette. And I said, well, obviously you don't care about air quality. I mean, there's more toxins in one cigarette that you're smoking there than you're going to breathe in a year, you know, outside your house. So change your own behavior. I think people understand that. They want to take responsibility. They want to get involved. Recycling programs are hugely popular. Organic farming, neighborhood shopping for food, local sourcing, this is all really popular because people care and they want to do something that works. What they don't want to do is waste their money and their tax money on things that don't work, things that aren't necessary. Something like trying to avoid global warming, you know, which might cause a tiny percentage of temperature increase a century from now, and you're going to ask me to spend $10 a month or $20 a month to try to prevent that. It's ridiculous on its face. Why would I do that? It doesn't mean that I don't care about the environment, and it doesn't mean that I don't understand the science. Not at all. It means I understand them both probably better than the guy who's advocating that carbon tax. I understand it's a remote threat, that it's really not worth investing a lot of time now. Probably anything we do isn't going to have any effect on the climate a century from now anyway. So I think the American public understands that. I think that's why you see them rallying behind President Trump. I don't see, you know, they've got their paid protesters and their marches and stuff. I don't see a grassroots movement in the United States saying, hey, we want to keep this global warming thing going. I think that's collapsing pretty fast.